The first crack in my sister's perfect world wasn't the sound of breaking crystal, it was my 6-year-old asking if his socks were rich enough. The afternoon sun, sharp and judgmental, speared through the cathedral windows of my sister Celeste's great room, setting the 1,000 crystals of her chandelier on fire. Each sparkle felt like a tiny, accusing eye. I knelt on the parquet floor, colder than marble, fixing the bow on my daughter Lily's dress. It was a simple blue thing from a chain store, crisp and neat. But beside the swirl of miniature designer gowns and tiny tailored suits around us, it seemed to shrink, to fade. The other children were like rare birds in plumage of imported silk and hand-stitched linen, their shoes worth more than our mortgage. A small hand tugged my sleeve. "Mama," Lily whispered, her voice a thread of its usual boldness. "Do I look okay?" Her question, so fragile in that opulent air, was a knife twist. "You look radiant, my love," I said, tucking a chestnut curl behind her ear. And she did. Her beauty was inherent, a kind that no price tag could enhance. Across the room, my husband Leo stood like a sentinel by the grand archway, his posture stiff in his simple chinos and unbranded Oxford. No blazer, no watch that caught the light. We were a study in beige in a gallery of guilt. Celeste cut through the crowd, a vision in dove-gray silk that whispered with every movement. The cost of that dress could have fed my family for 3 months. Her stilettos were staccato bullets on the floor as she delivered air kisses to arriving guests. "Darling," she trilled to someone over my shoulder. "You made it to our humble little soiree." Humble. The word was a joke in a room pulsing with 60 guests, where the battalion of uniformed caterers outnumbered our entire familial lineage. My mother approached, her smile a masterpiece of strained neutrality, perfected over decades of diplomatic maneuvering between her daughters. "Anya, you're here," she said. Not a greeting, but an observation. A recording of our presence for the ledger. "We wouldn't miss Celeste and Robert's 30th, I replied. "Yes. A milestone." Her eyes flickered to Lily. "She looks presentable." Presentable. The word hung between us, a backhanded compliment that stung more than silence. My son, Ben, all of 6, clutched Leo's leg, his gaze locked on the obscene dessert tableau, a pyramid of fragile, jewel-toned pastries he wouldn't dare touch. "Can I have a cupcake?" Ben breathed. Before I could speak, Celeste materialized, a cloud of expensive perfume. "Those are Canellas de Bordeaux, sweetheart, flown in this morning. Not cupcakes." Her smile was polished steel. "Perhaps the children would be happier in the kitchen? Cook has some simpler treats." Leo's jaw flexed, a tiny tremor of bedrock shifting, but he remained silent. "They're fine right here," I said, my voice low. "Of course." How thoughtless of me. She vanished into the glittering throng, leaving a chill in her wake. I felt Lily press her entire slight weight against my side. The hours oozed by like syrup. My father held court by the mahogany bar, holding forth on his latest venture capital triumph to Robert and a coven of men in suits that molded to them like second skins. My brother Adrian and his wife Genevieve were circulating an iPad, displaying glossy photos of their private yacht tour of the Greek Isles. We were satellites, orbiting their sun, forever in the observational shadow. Aunt Anya. My nephew, Julian, bounded over. At 10, he was Lily's age, vibrating with preteen entitlement. "Check out my new chronograph. Dad got it in Geneva. It has a tourbillon. That's more than some people's cars." Lily's hands instinctively went behind her back, hiding her bare wrists. "It's very sophisticated, Julian," I said. "What did your dad get you?" he asked Lily with innocent cruelty. Lily's voice was a feather. "A membership to the planetarium. We go every Friday." Julian blinked. "Oh, that's like a school thing, right?" "Julian, come," Genevieve called, her voice a silken hook. "The Van der Meers want to see." He dashed off, and Lily's fingers found mine, weaving through them, holding tight. Leo had retreated to a brooding leather armchair in the corner, scrolling on his phone, his face a mask. When our eyes met, he gave the barest nod. "A question." I had no answer. Dinner was announced, a procession to a table longer than our apartment. We were seated at the distant foot, miles from the nucleus of family power. The geography of exclusion. The meal was a 7-act play of decadence. Wine waterfalls flowed, but our glasses stayed filled with ice water. We couldn't afford a single dropped guard. So, Anya, Robert's voice boomed from the head, easily traversing the distance meant to diminish us. Still at that community health center? I'm the lead nurse practitioner now, yes. How noble, Celeste interjected, her smile saccharine. Toiling for the underserved. It must be so, humbling. I help people who need it, I said, the words clean and sharp. And we're so proud she does, my mother added, patting my hand. It's a necessary vocation. Leo set his fork down. Not a clatter, but a precise, deliberate click of silver on china that somehow silenced our immediate vicinity. After dinner, the adults migrated to the lounge for cognac while the children were herded toward the media room. Lily hesitated, a small statue of dread. Go on, sweetheart, I urged, my heart a trapped bird. Ben's already in there. She walked away with the steps of a prisoner. The knot in my stomach pulled taut. 10 minutes later, she returned. Her eyes were glassy. Red-rimmed pools. What happened? I knelt, the world narrowing to her face. She shook her head, lips trembling. Celeste glided over with her coterie, their champagne flutes held like scepters. Oh? A little drama. Lily, tell me, I said, blocking out my sister. They said we're, her breath hitched. That our clothes are from the discount bin. That we don't belong in a house like this. The women behind Celeste exchanged glances. One of them, Alessandra, I think, leaned to another, her whisper a deliberate stage aside. Well, children have a way of stating the obvious, don't they? Celeste took a delicate sip. They're merely observant, Sarah. No filter at that age. It's rather refreshing. They learn it somewhere, I said, my voice steady as stone. Oh, don't be so sensitive. Some families simply have different priorities. Her gaze performed a slow, dismissive inventory of Lily's dress, my thrift store clutch, Leo's simple shirt. You've embraced a more austere aesthetic. It's a choice. Our life is not a deficiency, I said. Of course not. Celeste's laugh was a wind chime in a frost. Budget retailers are vital. Imagine the chaos if everyone demanded quality. Her friends tittered, a sound like shattering icicles. A single tear traced a path through the freckles on Lily's cheek. Then another. Silent, devastating. Celeste, I said, the name of final warning. Enough. I'm just speaking the truth, sister. You arrive at functions looking like you've raided a salvage bin, your children dressed for a rummage sale, and seem genuinely surprised they don't blend in with. She gestured grandly at the art-filled room, the soaring ceilings. All this. Perhaps it's time to accept that different worlds have different doors. The room's chatter had died. Every eye was upon us. No room for your bargain basement brood here, Celeste concluded, her sharp smile victorious. Maybe a venue more their speed next time. A bowling alley. A pizza parlor. The muffled snickers were the final straw. And then Leo moved. He'd been so still in his armchair by the fireplace, a shadow. Now he rose. He didn't look at me. His eyes, dark and calm, settled on Celeste, then on Lily's shattered expression, and finally swept over the frozen, smug faces of the assembly. He pulled out his phone. Michael. Marcus. Yes, I know what day it is. His voice was conversational, utterly calm. I need you to pull the full portfolio file for the estate at 47 Crestview Ridge. The main residence. A pause. Yes, that one. Ownership chains, all LLC disclosures, the current lease. Email everything to me. Now. A vacuum of silence sucked the air from the room. Celeste's smirk twitched. Leo, what is this? He held up a single finger, listening. Perfect. Now, connect me to the management office. Effective immediately, I'm authorizing a full audit and review of all lease agreements for the Crestview properties. Another, longer pause. His gaze locked with Robert's. Yes, all of them. Starting with the primary tenant. He ended the call. The click was seismic. Then he turned, a quiet man at the center of a hurricane he had just summoned. This house, Leo said, his voice still terribly even, as if discussing the weather. 47 Crestview Ridge. Georgian Revival, 7 bedrooms, smart home renovation completed 2021. Appraised last month at $4.8 million. Robert puffed his chest. We've invested a fortune in it. You rent it, Leo stated. Celeste's champagne flute halted midair. I own it, Leo continued. I own this house. I own Crestview Heritage Properties, the firm that manages your lease. I've owned the title since 2019, a year before you ever walked through its doors. The color leached from Celeste's face, leaving her artfully contoured cheeks a ghastly white. That's impossible, Robert sputtered. Leo tapped his phone, turned it, and displayed a document. A lease agreement. Signatures, Robert and Celeste Thorne. Monthly sum, $15,000. Management company, Lions Rock Holdings. Landlord, Lions Rock Holdings, LLC. Lions Rock, Leo said. My grandfather's nickname for me. The LLC is mine. My father's glass met the side table with a thud. This can't be. I also own the 3 properties to the west and the land parcel at the cul-de-sac. The entire ridge. Acquired through silent partnerships over the last decade. Real estate has been kind. He finally looked at me, a world of apology and resolve in his eyes. Anya wanted simplicity. She didn't want wealth to poison our family bonds. She wanted us to be loved for who we are, not what we have. He let the staggering truth hang, watching it sink into the plush carpets, drip from the crystal, stain the silk drapes. 60 people who had spent the evening measuring our worth by our labels now stood in a palace whose deed bore the name of the man they'd dismissed. The architectural firm that approved your renovation? I'm the silent partner. The landscaping company you overpay to manicure the gardens? Mine. His eyes cut back to Celeste. Normal, for my wife, meant biting her tongue while her sister mocked our life. Normal meant watching her 10-year-old be reduced to tears over a dress in a house that I pay the taxes on. Celeste was trembling. Why? Why this charade? Was it a charade? Leo asked, his voice dropping, gaining an edge. Or were you just so blinded by your own reflection that you couldn't see past the surface? Lily didn't choose where her clothes come from. We chose to put our money into her education fund, into Ben's future, into memories instead of logos. Genevieve looked ill. Adrian stared at Leo as if seeing a stranger. My mother's hand fluttered to her throat. Anya, why didn't you tell us? You never asked, Mother, I said, my voice quiet but clear in the tomb-like silence. You only ever assumed. Leo walked to Lily and crouched before her. Hey, superstar. That blue? Your mom said it matches your eyes when you're happy. Does it still? A small, wobbly nod. Then it's the most valuable dress in this whole place. He stood, a hand on her head. Never let anyone make you ashamed of your light. He turned his gaze, now glacial, back to Celeste. Your lease terminates in 90 days. Given tonight's exhibition of character, I am seriously reconsidering its renewal. You'll have my decision within the month. The flute finally fell from Celeste's grasp, exploding on the floor in a burst of stars and terror. Leo, please, she gasped, all pretension gone, raw panic in its place. This is our home. Everything we are is here. You are tenants, Leo corrected, merciless. With a contract that allows for non-renewal. You read it. You signed it. Robert's bravado crumpled. We can't. The liquidity is tied up, the club memberships, the cars. Perhaps your next family gathering should prioritize fiscal responsibility over imported pastries and insults, Leo said. He walked to Ben, who was now peering, wide-eyed, from the hallway and scooped him up. Then he looked at the assembled guests, the cousins, the business associates, the fair-weather friends. Anya wanted our children to know their family. Tonight, you taught them a different lesson, that cruelty is often best dressed. He shifted Ben's weight. We measure up just fine. We simply use a different ruler. Wait. Celeste's voice was a raw scrape. Can we discuss this? Privately? Leo looked to me. I looked at Lily's streaked face, at Ben's confused frown buried in his father's neck. I felt the weight of every sidelong glance, every condescending compliment, every excluded invitation of the last 5 years. No, I said, the word feeling like my first free breath in years. Not today. We turned toward the monumental front door. Anya, our mother cried, a real plea breaking through. Don't do this. We can fix this. I paused on the threshold, the cool night air already washing over me. Fix what? The fact that you've all confused net worth with self-worth? That ends now. Leo pushed the door open. The outside air was sweet, unperfumed, real. As Leo buckled the children into our sensible, reliable car, Lily's small voice pierced the quiet. Daddy? Will Aunt Celeste really have to leave? Leo finished clicking the seatbelt. That depends on her, honey. Will we ever go back there? I slid into the passenger seat and turned to face them. I don't know, my loves. But I know this. You are and will always be more than enough. Exactly as you are. The engine purred to life. As we pulled down the winding, manicured driveway from the $4.8 million fortress, Lily asked one last, pristine question. Daddy, if you own all those big houses, why do we live in our house and buy our clothes at the regular store? Leo met her eyes in the rearview mirror, a genuine, warm smile finally breaking through. Because our house is a home, not a showcase. And that store has everything we need. Remember the money we saved for the summer we spent hiking in the redwoods? The one with the giant trees? Ben exclaimed, perking up. Yeah. Was that better than a watch from Switzerland? Lily thought for a moment, then nodded, a true smile dawning. Way better. We saw a bear. We saw a chipmunk, Ben corrected, and they dissolved into a debate that was music, pure and joyful. In the side mirror, Celeste's palace shrank, its every window ablaze with light, a gilded cage where the conversation had just taken a cataclysmic turn. My phone lit up on my lap, a frantic text cascade. Adrian, asterisk, we need to talk. Now, asterisk. Genevieve, asterisk, Anya, I had no idea. I'm so ashamed, asterisk. Mother, asterisk, please call me. Your father is beside himself, asterisk. I powered the phone off, watching the screen go black. Leo reached across the console, his warm, strong hand enveloping mine. All right? I squeezed back, watching the city lights approach, feeling the weight of pretense fall away with every mile. I will be. And I was. Because the greatest wealth we gave our children that night wasn't the revelation of hidden deeds or silent power. It was the sight of their parents choosing dignity over assimilation, and the unshakable lesson that their value was inherent, immutable, and utterly independent of the price of the fabric on their backs. We drove not toward a poorer life, but toward a richer one, unburdened, authentic, and finally, completely our own.